Hello everyone, I hope you guys had a lovely day or night or however it is for you all. So today, as the video titled, I have taken the first step to actually conquering something, which is drawing backgrounds. So I just should start with the introduction and begin on the inspiration. So there was two. There was this YouTuber I was watching named, I can't pronounce it well, but Huion, and I was watching the video for technique for complex scenes, and it really helped me with a lot of tips and techniques and tricks to help create complex scenes, especially from imagination. So that was like a big thing that just like pushed me, as well as I've had this concept for this actual specific drawing for I think more than a year, and I wasn't confident in my skills because I've always been drawing people. So whenever I tried backgrounds, it just looked horrible, like always. So because of my skills, I felt like I lacked and I just didn't try. But after watching that video and, having I think a year or more experience, I finally decided to take a step into the right direction. So let's begin on the actual drawing itself and my thought process throughout it. So as I'm drawing, I'm thinking of things that was in the video, but also things that I already knew that I just had to pay more attention to. So for instance, the focal structure or the things that we need to focus on would be the foreground, the midground, and the background. Those three things are very important to remember and what to keep and what not to keep. Then I also needed to focus on perspective and the focal point of the whole drawing, so basically the composition of it. I knew the whole composition was that it was going to be facing a character from behind and they're looking directly at the destruction of their world in a sense, and the focal point was going to be the clock, that it was just crumbling to the ground. Now this drawing, I wanted it to stay black and white because at first I didn't. I actually wanted it to be colored because that's like the vision I had for it, but as I kept drawing, I kept it in just simple black and white hues, but as I kept going, I preferred it in black and white instead of the other colors because I felt like it would have overpowered it. Now, going back to what I said about perspective, I focused on the perspective of the background, like literally the whole drawing. I really just focused on the background and the character. I did not put much time or thought to it. I just knew that it was a person on the ground watching their own protective world start crumbling, and they had wings, so the wings were drooped to the ground. So one thing I learned while drawing this, and it's also with the video that I watched, was the technique of making big shapes and then carving it out. So typically when I draw, I always do sort of like a little bit of a guideline and then the outline of it. And with backgrounds, it does work, but for me, I realized that using big blobs of shape first and then cutting it out into how I want it to be really did help out in the long run, and it made it much more easier to do and less daunting. And then of course, the thing I also learned while working on it, and I had to be very focused on because I always wanted to stay on the smaller details, was to work on the bigger picture, what people could see and did not need to actually like get close to, and then work to the smaller details. Now the drawing itself, if you actually look at it, like you go really close, it's not overly detailed. Like the one thing that I noticed from the artist and the YouTuber Huion was that if you look at the drawing really close, it looks like blobs in a sense. Like it just looks like like you just put a paintbrush stroke there and that's it. But it gives the illusion of detail, and I really like that in his pieces. So I wanted to make sure that in my piece I still had that. I feel like I did focus on a bit too much on the details sometime, but I did a lot better than I usually did and had like strokes of paintings and like the stroke of a paintbrush is what I meant to say when I'm creating details and shading. And here is the final result. So, some final thoughts that I had on this was, first off, it was actually really enjoyable to do. I'm always very daunted and afraid of working on backgrounds in such big pieces, but this one was actually really fun to do, and I'm actually proud of myself. I still see some things that I want to fix, which I will be explaining in a couple seconds that I want to do, but honestly, even after days of finishing it, I'm actually still proud. So the things I wanted to talk about that I wanted to learn from and apply for my next drawings would be the color hues and making things clearer. So basically, I felt like some of the things kind of meshed together in the background. I didn't use the proper colors. I'm still learning about color theory, so I felt like it wasn't very clear enough, like where the midground and the background were. And maybe I had it for composition, I had to move some things around just a little bit to give it some space and not have that like corner piece stuck to another corner piece. I forgot the name, but if you guys know, you know what I mean. And then obviously, like I said before, I needed to focus less on the smaller details and just work on bigger details, because at the end of the day, no one's gonna look really close to the drawing, and probably for not even more than a minute. And then last but not least, I know that this is my first time actually trying to conquer this, so I definitely need more practice. More practice and actual references instead of my imagination will actually help me proceed into actually doing better backgrounds. But anyways, thank you so much for listening. I know this is a bit of a longer format video. I wanted to do something different where I have my own voice of opinion, I guess you could say, or I spoke a lot more than usual, just giving you an insight of what I thought and how it came to be. So let me know in the comments down below if you actually like this style of video, where you like to get into details of the drawing itself, and maybe in different drawings I could tell you about the character themselves. So yeah, just tell me how you feel about this, if you like this, you like my shorter ones where I don't really do much voiceovers, and I hope you guys have a lovely day. See you next time.